So, just like last week, I would like to start off with an announcement. This one I'm super excited about because we finally broke in to the top 100. Well, for like a day or two, we broke into the top 100 business podcast on Apple in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's very
exciting.
exciting.
It is. It's very cool. So,
Well
thank
done.
you guys for
Thank you. Yeah.
watching, listening, whatever you do with it. I don't know how you consume it. We appreciate it. And we hope that we can continue to deliver valuable content for you guys. And for those of you on YouTube, just subscribe. It's like 99% of you have not subscribed.
So I think I just want to ask, when you subscribe,
Yes.
what does that actually mean?
So when you subscribe on YouTube, you get like notifications as soon as it comes out. So you get notified and you're subscribed.
So you don't have to pay for anything.
Nope.
You don't have to. I'm just making sure.
No,
Because
no,
I think a lot of people think, oh, if I subscribe, it means I've got to pay or there's a catch.
No. I will not spam you. I will not.
YouTube will do that.
That's between you and YouTube. But for us, we just want you to subscribe to our channel.
And I think it's important. There's so much stuff out there.
Very true.
And you know, when you start to subscribe to something, you get notified.
Yes.
And so it's a way to sort of wade through all the rubbish.
It's actually a very good question you asked. Sorry, I feel like I took it a bit too lightly. It's a very good question because I think it's also it might be somewhat connected to, like, you know, when you subscribe to an email list and now you're tired for eternity. You try to unsubscribe. Why do you want to unsubscribe? You sure you want? It's like, dude, just let me go, please.
Yeah.
So good question. So this episode, you wanted the team, you wanted the customers, you wanted the orders, you wanted the premises, you wanted the business you have today. Now you have it. But all you can see is what is wrong with it. When did the thing you once prayed for become the thing you complain about every day?
Wow.
I know.
And it's not to make light of it, but I think a lot of people, without knowing it, operate like that. And I see it often in terms of, from a processing point of view, is a lot of times people have reached a new level, and because it's so different and there's unknowns.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
People are looking at everything that's wrong because there's so many unknowns that come with a new level of business. Would
you say that, I don't want to use the word easy, when I was at this level, things were a little bit simpler. When I had 2 staff members, things were okay. Now I have 20 and I don't know what's happening, for example.
So it becomes challenging because it's a new level and there's unknown. So when you have 2 people and you've had 2 people for 20 years, I say there's no challenge because you understand everything, you know everything, there's no unknowns. But then you bring in a third person and you find the unknowns. And then suddenly your business expands pretty quickly and you've got another 5 people. Well, that's going to turn on a whole lot of unknowns.
And the same could happen, let's just say, with not expanding of people in terms of employees, but it could happen with expanding of customers as well, right?
But expanding of customers, expanding of product, it's important to be aware that no matter which way you go, as soon as you're going into expanding or a new level, there's going to be things that we don't know and things that we don't understand. And that is always the challenge about when you grow, it takes a different type of energy to grow and then another type of energy to maintain it.
Okay.
So you let's say you grow your product base.
Yeah.
You have to invest a whole lot of time, effort, and energy into finding the right products, manufacturing the right products, that sort of thing. Then you get good at that, but now you've got to sell those products. It's a different type of energy to now go and sell and maintain selling those products.
Yeah, because you're going to go find the market, right?
You got to go find the market, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of unknowns that come to mind because you've never sold that product before, or you haven't sold it to that particular type of customer, or we don't know what the unknowns are, and that's why they're unknown. But there's some key telltale signs of the unknowns, and generally when people are looking for stuff and trying to solve problems all the time, there's unknowns, or even maybe you've given yourself a wrong answer.
Can you explain that to me? Like a wrong answer. What is that? Because it sounds like it's simple enough. Like it's not the right answer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Pretty simple.
So you gave yourself a wrong answer. So, or somebody gave you a wrong answer.
Mm,
So in sales, this is a very common one. The market's really tight and the economy sucks right now.
mm,
So there's no sales. If you take that on and you believe that, you won't make sales. It doesn't matter how good a sales rep you are. And if you have, as a boss, acknowledged that and gone into agreement with that, your sales team, the market sucks, well, you're giving yourself a wrong answer in terms of the business.
Now the whole team's operating like that.
And then the whole team starts operating, the market sucks. So, well, I'm not going to waste my time going out and selling, and then all you're going to do is prove that what you put in the space is correct. But the problem with wrong answers is they give you more problems.
Oh, that makes sense. Because now you're giving yourself the wrong answer of the market is down, right? Wholesale team agrees, market's down. Guess what?
So nobody goes out to sell. Because, and that creates another problem, because the problem is we're not making sales. So the company's not making any money. So now we have to retrench people. And that is the problem with wrong answers, is if you are not aware and you are not investigating and you're just taking things at face value, chances are you're giving yourself wrong answers.
Do you think that's, and if you guys need to go back, I think it was like episode 73 or something, where we spoke about success. Success is very different for everybody. And so I just wanted to premise that before I ask the question. So do you think that somebody can build a successful business and still feel like they are failing every day?
Absolutely.
How do I not do that? Because
what is failure?
Failure. So I would say failure is not achieving a desired result, for example.
Okay, so failure is actually a mood.
Oh, tell me more. That's
so I felt like I failed.
Okay.
So no matter how good I did, even like you take athletes, they won a race and they'll go, I still feel like I failed because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, my time wasn't what I was looking for.
Or, I didn't get off the starting blocks in that split second. So I failed. And this is where it's important to understand failure is a mood. It's not an outcome. It's a feeling. Okay. So if you are not aware of how you feel, then it is going to have an effect on whatever you're doing.
So how do I address that as a business owner? Because I feel like a lot of generalization, but I feel like a lot of business owners feel like they are failing quite regularly. How do I address that?
So one of the things you can do is write down how long you've been in business, and write down all the things you've achieved, and actually start to change the way you are perceiving things. But it goes back to, I'll take it back to a school level, is that even if you're getting 80% in the class, the teacher's still telling you it's not good enough. You're a failure because you didn't come first.
You get 100.
You didn't get 100, or you didn't do the same as, teacher's pet, or whatever it is. You are constantly being told, well, look, let me put it this way. That was my experience at school, and a lot of people that can relate to that. And there are other people who don't relate to that. But overall,
Majority. And that's majority of
Overall,
people.
majority of
Yeah.
people did not have a great experience at school.
No.
And they were told that they were useless and they're not good
Mhm.
enough and they need to do better. Okay.
Oh.
So,
Parents' meetings. Oh, man.
correct. And there's this comparison of, exam results and comparison of, little Johnny and Mary. And little Johnny did better than Mary this time. And
Mary's stupid. It's never gonna amount to anything.
and so it's just understanding that our society has kind of made it out that you're failing, even if you're doing well. And there's also this, you shouldn't celebrate wins because otherwise you've got an ego. And you shouldn't acknowledge all the positive things you've done because that's egotistical, or it makes you, bravado or whatever it is. And so what happens is we kind of shy away from acknowledging the things we've done. We shy away from acknowledging the successes we've had. And therefore we just reinforce that whole thing. I feel like a failure. And then there's this failing forward. Oh, well, I'm just failing forward all the time. And that's not a bad thing if you understand and create the right context, because that is how you succeed. You fail forward.
Yeah.
You learn from your failures and you move forward.
Yes.
You learn from your failures and you move forward.
It's not just a slogan.
It's not just a slogan.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people look at it and go, I failed again, but at least I'm getting better. No, that's how you learn. That's how you get better. You failed because there were unknowns. You find out what the unknowns are and you get better at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's always the challenge in business, because a lot of people perceive it as, oh, well, that was a waste of time. I've invested 3 years in that client and they just up and left.
Well.
And, that was a complete failure. Well, no, I'm so grateful for that client, because in the last 3 years, I've learned X, Y, and Z. They have supported my business for the last 3 years and allowed me to be where I am. Thank goodness they've done that, because now it gives me capacity to go and find another client. It gives me, and the challenge is that human beings pretty much have been designed, in order to survive, you need to find out what's wrong. When you are in when you are in survival mode, we are designed to look for the problems, because we need to survive.
Fight or flight, technically, right? In a sense.
So I don't know if I would call it that, but just when we're operating in survival, we are designed to look for what is wrong in the environment, to look for the negatives, because in order to survive, you need to find what's wrong.
Okay.
When we're operating in abundance, we should not constantly be looking at the negatives. Okay. We need to be focusing on the positives. Now, the problem is, so many people today are in survival mode when it comes to finances, that they are automatically looking for the negative things. They are looking for everything that's wrong. And what does that do? That trains your brain to only see the negative. Okay. And this is where the power of exercises like gratitude, celebrating wins, becoming present are so, so powerful, because they start to shift, your mindset from what's wrong to look what I did well. And so gratitude, celebrating wins, becoming present for me, exceptionally critical. Everybody should be doing them. In your business meetings, you should be acknowledging people. Which staff have done what well this week? Are you grateful for them? Have you told them? Have you actually said, to your salary department, thank you for paying salaries on time? Yes, it is their job to do that. But guess what? They actually did their job.
Yeah, that's a big win. It's a huge win.
And are you acknowledging, your accounts department? Thanks for getting the reports in on time.
Yeah.
Instead of, you left this number out and blah, 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 blah. You know, everybody's always looking for the negative instead of what could you find positive today? Could you thank your HR department for paying salaries on time, even though they do it every single month, the same thing in and out? Acknowledge them for what they're doing. Maybe, it's your bookkeeping department or your admin or your receptionist.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that the receptionist answers the phone because guess what? I don't have to do it. Instead of that tone that you used with that client was pretty awful.
Goes back to last week's episode. It's a criticism. How do I fix that? I'm stuck. Okay, thank you.
So when you start like being grateful and acknowledging I'm grateful to you, you can start to, now you can guide people, well done. You did such a great job answering the phone. Next time, maybe just, acknowledge the client a little bit more as opposed to somebody that comes down with a stick. But now what you're doing is you're uplifting people. You're putting a positive instead of a negative.
Yep.
And that's where you start to change, the neuro pathways in your brain to look for positive things instead of looking for negative things. Because as I said, it is natural and it is instinctive for us to look for the negative. We have to train our brains to look for the positive. And that is why negativity just feeds. Negativity sells. You go into the news, it's negative, everything that's wrong. The economy sucks, the this, the that. You have to train your brain to see the positive. And that is challenging.
It is.
So when you in terms of your business expands, you have to start looking at all the positive things that you've done. You've got to train the people in your business to see the positive. However, that does not mean you avoid the negative and you avoid the things that are going wrong, because that is also a big issue in a lot of businesses. They go, oh, we did this so well and we did that so well and we're so amazing. And then
there's a fire burning behind them. It's not about, and I think what's important to understand, right, is that what you're saying around gratitude wins, that's not negating that there are negative things that are happening in the business.
And there are
that
problems
need to be
in the
addressed.
business that need to be addressed.
For sure.
There are issues that need to be confronted. We're not saying don't do that. But what we are saying is start looking at the positive things and go, like, how do you start your meetings? Do you start your meetings with what did everyone do well?
Yeah.
Do you start your meetings by acknowledging the things that worked in the business in the past week? And if you're not doing that, you need to start doing that.
Do you think that doing that then makes giving the feedback, because like the way you explained it around like the receptionist, for example, thank you for answering the call, the way you answered that was really great, you did really well. Maybe next time you could try X, right? Because now if you giving people positive feedback, you are grateful for them. Do you think it then becomes easier for you to give them feedback on how they can improve?
Absolutely, because now the person's going, I'm going to get some positive attention and or some recognition. And I think this is the thing. I can't remember the study that I was reading, but the guy was talking about homeless people on the streets. And the research that they were doing is that for some of those beggars on the street, sometimes just a smile and somebody that looks at them or waves at them is worth more than somebody who stops to give them money, because they have been seen and they've been acknowledged.
Crazy.
And what do most of us do? We go, oh, I don't have any money, I'm not going to. Right? I don't want you to touch my car. Like,
you're stuck in your car. The panic that sets in.
And you just have to drive past somebody when they look the other way or they pretend they don't see this. And the study was saying that a lot of those beggars or homeless people on the streets, they value just being seen. Now, if that is somebody that's homeless and I'm not going to say doesn't worry about money or doesn't have it, but how much more beneficial is it in your business to acknowledge people and I see you. I see
Mm,
what you're doing. I see the fact that you answer the phone. I see the fact that you're paying salaries, or, you know, people want to be heard and they want to be seen.
yeah.
And so are you doing that in your business? Are you acknowledging the things that people are doing?
Mm. Yeah, I actually read this thing the other day. Also, again, can't remember what the study was, and it was just about reframing of words. So they asked did a study with a group of school kids, and they asked one group, help clean the classroom,
Mhm.
and they asked the other group, would you like to be a helper? The group that got asked, would you like to be a helper, helped, whereas the
Yes.
other group was more reluctant to be like, I don't want, no, I don't want to do that. And I feel like it ties into what you're saying, because they felt like, I am doing something positive, I am helping, I am
But
being
I'm
a helper.
also, by being a helper, I'm being seen.
Mm.
If I'm going to help clean the classroom, well,
All of us are doing it.
all of us are doing it. So what?
What do I get out of this?
Correct.
We actually forget. Sorry, my voice just got crazy there, but I got excited. We actually forget how, in all honesty, self-serving people actually are. And it's like, that's how I see it. I want to be acknowledged, positive attention. But then there's also negative attention that I also like.
So, and this is the problem. It's people like to be seen and heard. So if you're not going to see me for the things I do well, then I'll you can see me for the things I don't do well.
And I'm going to
And
make sure you see me for that.
and so that's where, often you'll see these kids that rebel in school, people that suddenly go from being a model student to like a dropout. And it's just like, well, we don't know where they're getting the most attention.
Mm,
And, you see it with employees. Well, I'm not getting attention for doing well. So I'm just going to cause chaos and I'll get attention for causing chaos.
mhm,
And it's understanding that one of the biggest driving forces behind human beings is recognition.
mm.
Like babies cry for it and grown men die for it. And that is so spot on in terms of recognition.
And it's actually not. I feel like I'm starting to realize this more and more. It's actually not financial recognition in some cases, right? It's just like you're saying, it's just somebody wants to be seen for what they do well, right? You can pay them more, but if you don't, I feel like for that moment they feel seen when they get paid more, when that new salary hits, it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting,
Someone acknowledged me
yeah.
here.
Then you go back to work and the week starts, and it's like, oh shit, I'm not getting. Why am I getting paid more if I'm not actually getting real recognition of, well done, Nicole, you did really well with that.
And that's where it's so important to understand, are you, in terms of your family, are you recognizing your spouse?
Mm,
Like for like,
yeah, thank you
when
for
you
washing
go
the
home,
dishes.
did they wash the dishes? Did they cook dinner? As opposed to, it's your job to do that. You should be doing that.
Mm,
Well, have you acknowledged them for doing their job?
mm,
Have you said, thank you for doing that? Thank you for, you know,
yeah.
cooking. Thank you for washing the clothes. Thank you. And even if they don't wash the clothes, thank you for making sure that the clothes are washed
Mm,
and that I've got clean clothes to wear. Um, so it's important to acknowledge people for the things that they are doing and have done.
mm. How do we train ourselves to? So if I'm a business owner, how do I train myself to see what's working without losing the desire to grow, but also for everybody else in the team to grow without breaking them?
Well, it's the most important thing is, have you had a discussion with your team around what's working? Because generally, most business owners can't actually see what's working because they're in their business, they're working, and they have no idea what works. So, in terms of your business, are you actually saying to your team, this is working? Because what you may perceive as is working, somebody else may perceive as that doesn't work. And so, it is important to have those discussions, as uncomfortable as they are or as challenging as they are. You need to be having those discussions with your team. What is working?
Mm,
Because, certainly the bigger your business gets, the less you will have hands on.
yep.
And you need to be getting feedback from your team. What is working? And, in terms of, I look at, we could be saying, you could be going, oh, Facebook's working like a charm. And I'm going, no, it's not.
Mm.
And then you have to have the conversation around what does working actually mean? Because having lots of pretty pictures on Facebook does not mean it's working.
No, it means
It
it's
may
working in the
be,
sense where you can put pictures.
it
That's
may
it.
be that that is what you want, but if your goal is to drive leads, then is it driving leads? Or if your goal is to sell products off a Facebook marketplace, is it doing that?
Mm.
And that's where you have to be having the conversations with your team around what is working and what is not working.
Mm.
And do they actually understand what working means? Because if you're in charge of Facebook and you think pretty pictures all over Facebook means that it's working,
You got a problem.
that is not accurate, because technically, yes, Facebook is working because there is reach,
Hmm.
but who are we reaching? When are we reaching them? How are we reaching them? What is the intention of the reach? And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, is that, it's like, the manufacturing department is working super well. And you're going, well, actually, no, it's not.
Mm.
And they're going, of course it is. We've just made 3,000 of these products. And you're going, yes, but that's a problem.
Where are we going to store them?
Where are we going to
Well,
store them and who's going to sell them?
yeah.
So that is a huge problem. If you're manufacturing too much of something, you may think this is amazing, because you're the manufacturer, but it's not working as overall for the business. And this is where it's so important that you and your team are sitting down having those conversations. What is working and what is not? And then you have to be willing to say, that's great that you made 3,000 of these. But now I don't believe it's working, because what are we doing with them? Where are we going to store them? What's the, where they're going? The manufacturing department's going, well, that's not my problem. And they become super defensive around, I was told to do this. And they then blame, justify, deny, all those things, not realizing that if they keep manufacturing that product and nobody sells it, they're going to lose their jobs. And this is the challenge. It's so important to have the discussions in your teams, what is working and what is not working, because you need the different perspectives from different people.
Yeah, you just gave me a brainwave there. I feel like that probably happens so much between marketing and sales. Marketing thinks that leads are working because they're generating them, right? Leads are coming in regularly,
Correct.
but sales can't actually keep up. There's I've got clients that I'm currently serving,
Mm-hmm.
and now you've just brought me 2,000 new leads that you expect me to call, and then sales turns around and goes, the leads suck. Well, actually they don't, because you call them 2 weeks after they already gave, and because we're not communicating.
Correct. And also, we're not clear on what the flow of the leads are.
Yeah.
And
What's the process?
what's the process of the leads. So if you are not able to stop and go, what is our lead process? What actually happens with them? You could be going, our lead process works. Marketing, I'm generating leads and I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm
That's my
so
job.
amazing. And it's not my problem that sales isn't phoning these leads.
Sales suck.
And the sales team then blames the marketing team because X, Y, and Z. But in actual fact, there's no clarity on the process.
It seems like every episode we come back to damn processes.
And because processes are culture.
Yeah.
And, that whole thing about culture eats strategy for breakfast, I don't think people truly understand what that means. And that processes are your culture. Do you have a culture of upholding your processes, or do you have a culture of whatever, we can, don't worry about it. You don't have to follow the process exactly this week. It's okay. And that's the culture that gets created in your business. So your processes are actually your culture.
But I actually think there's more. The issue actually is that processes aren't actually written down, right? So I'll use us as an example. I've been here for 10 years. I've seen the ups and downs of the business. There's always been processes, right? There's always been a way that we do things. Correct?
Well, the way you drive to work is process.
Exactly.
Everything that people do is
It's
a
a process. Yes. But you don't. Oh, that's a great example. Because you just drive.
Yes,
Right?
you just do it.
Get in the car, go to work. I know I know which way I'm taking, but there's a process. And sometimes you have to change the process because of traffic, because of this, because of that.
Correct.
And but from a business perspective, a lot of businesses and business owners have it stuck in their heads, right? So now I hire a bunch of people. This is how we do things. And as you're saying, it becomes the culture. But
So
who upholds it?
and this is driving to work is a perfect example
Yeah.
because it is in your head. You know the different ways you go. And the day you say to your wife, right, you need to drive me to work.
Mm.
And now she may go a completely different way that you've never been before. And you can argue with it and go, well, this is not the way to go. But you could also choose to learn from it
Mm.
and go, okay, cool. I've learned from this. And this is the challenge with processes is everybody's trying to create, like if I prove that I can do it better,
We're gonna change it.
we'll change it.
Mm.
But if you don't do it the way that it has always been done, you won't learn.
Yeah, for sure.
And you won't learn why you do things a certain way. And so, yes, absolutely. If your process is this is how I drive to work, you need to write it down. This is how I drive to work. And you give your wife those instructions, drive me to work this way. Once she's learned that, then she can turn around and say, okay, let's try going this route.
Mm. You made me so every time if I'm going to the airport, every time I get picked up from my house, every driver has taken the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And it has upset me because it's not the way I would take.
Yep.
And I went the last time now, and I went to Zim, and the driver went the same way that all the Uber drivers go. I was like, this is clearly a process that works because it's actually faster. But because I was so used to the way that I did it, my process, I was not willing to learn a new process or understand a new process.
And that's always the challenge is that, you're not an Uber driver.
No.
So you don't spend your life driving.
Nope.
So who's to say your process is better?
No, it's not.
It's not because you don't earn a living from driving
No.
from A to B. You just get in your car and drive from A to B and whichever way you perceive as the fastest. Whereas, you're going to have other guys that are going to, when we went to Cape Town, I had such a chuckle because there's so many one-way streets there.
Mm.
And the driver said, I'm going the wrong way, but trust me, this is faster. And drove up there, up and round. And he said, because I'm going to beat the traffic.
Okay.
I'm going to beat the backlog. And he wasn't wrong. He knew exactly where he was going. And I think this is often where people come into a business and they go, well, I can show you how to do that better. Instead of understanding the process, learn how the business operates. Now you have the power and the ability to change the process if you have a better idea because you understand all parts of the process.
Yeah.
And so this is where that Uber driver, is his process written down? No. So it is not duplicatable.
For sure.
Because it's in his head. And that's the problem, like you said, in so many businesses, processes are not written down and a new person will come in and everyone expects them to know what to do.
Why can't they do it? I show them how to do it.
Exactly.
How do they not know how to do it?
Correct.
Why can't they do it the way I do it?
Yes.
I don't.
Or why don't they just flip and do it? Because they can't remember, they stop or they don't. So, and this is where so many organizations that have stood the test of time have processes.
For sure.
And organizations that don't
fly by the side.
They don't last because they don't have written down processes that drive the business. And then what happens? A new person comes in and they water it down. They kind of go, oh, let's leave out that step. We don't need to put the plastic film on the cup.
I think that's also
because they don't understand what it does.
Yeah, we actually forget. We look at all these companies, and I'll use just the fast food chains, for example. Man, why are they so successful? How are they so successful? Because they have a damn process. And that's how they can franchise themselves, because I can give this is here, this is how we do this. Do not veer from this, and you'll be okay. Pretty duplicatable.
And that's the challenge is people misunderstand duplication for I need to get attention. So if I go and change the process, I'll get attention.
Positive or negative.
Positive or negative, whichever way it works.
Damn.
As opposed to follow the process and get praised, gratitude for following the process. Now you have the ability to change it because you know that it works. And so many people come in and they're like, I'm going to change it so I can be the star. And I think more often than not, stars are people that duplicate the process.
Very true. So I want to give business owners something to take away from this, besides all the awesomeness that you have given them on this episode. What is a practical way for me to practice gratitude and wins in my business?
So in terms of gratitude, I mean, what 10 things you're grateful for, 10 people you're grateful for, 10 processes you're grateful for. I mean, 10 ideas you're grateful for.
10 customers. I don't even think people tell their customers that they're grateful for their business. Or thank you for your business. And that's it. Like, generally.
Yeah, in the past, it's like, oh, I'll give you a Christmas present. I'll give you a bottle of wine at Christmas to say thank you.
What? I have to wait 12 months to get a thanks. What are you doing here?
And,
that's a great point.
Suppliers. Yeah, how many of you are, it's like so many people thank their customers, but how many of people thank their suppliers? So there's so many different things. Like find 10 things you can list that you're grateful for, that you can list 10 things you're grateful for. So
where am I listing this? Because this is very important.
So I think it's important, write it down.
Okay. Why?
Because there is something that happens between your brain and your fingers. And you can go and do the research. Don't take my word for it. But, you know, in terms of when you type something, I think there's 7 connections between your brain and your fingertips. Please don't take the numbers exact, but it's something like, and when you write it down, there are like something like 7,000 connections between your brain and your fingertips. And that is why it's so important to write things down, because of the connection that it makes to your brain and the neural pathways and all of that stuff. So it is important to write it down. Also, writing it down puts it in the physical universe. So much like if you were to post something on Facebook, I'm so grateful for this, the whole world sees it. Spiritually, when you write something down, there's something that happens when you put it into the physical universe.
Yeah.
Other people other spirits, I say spirits, but other spiritual beings can connect with it and use it. And so it is so important to just be aware of, write it down. And wins are the same. I mean, acknowledge your wins, write your wins down regularly. You know, I suggest to people to do it daily, but if you struggle, at least start doing it weekly and acknowledging the things that you are grateful for.
Wins.
Yes.
Say wins.
Yes. In terms of 1, things you're grateful for, but 2, what are the wins? Write them down as well. Yeah.
We could do that as a team.
Absolutely. As an individual, a business, a team, you know, start, like if you have meetings, start your meetings off like that. What are the things you're grateful for? What are some of the wins?
Yeah.
Put some positivity in before you start. Why? Because most people start their meetings and they just want to beat the crap out of everybody.
Everything is wrong.
I mean, I had one of the guys that we worked with, he was a trainer, and he worked with another I say trainer, but he said, you know, in the industry that they worked in, it was called the shit sandwich. And he said, basically, you put in the positive, you tell them what they've done wrong, and then you put in the positive again.
Okay.
And he said, because most people, if you just crap all over them, aren't going to do anything. But if you tell them how great they are, tell them everything they've done wrong, and then tell them, you know, how amazing and how much belief you have in them, that's what we call a
shit sandwich.
because people are more likely to respond. Why? Because there's positive, there's some criticism or some like this is what you should be doing, and then some more positives, and people feed off the you've got to give double the amount of positive as to negatives.
Man, I wish more people operated like that. Hopefully, this episode will help them to start doing that. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think just don't underestimate the power of being grateful, acknowledging gratitude, and acknowledging wins.
Agreed. My final thoughts would be very soon, Nicole will be launching something that you guys can actually utilize daily to practice gratitude, wins, and presence. Probably the most important one. We didn't even go there, but we need that one big time. And also, as always, you guys can grab any of Barry's books at uncoveringgreatness.co.za for anybody who's, not just anybody who's into sales, anybody who needs to learn how to sell, wants to sell better, not just to others, but also to themselves. And also The Salesman's Journey, the story of Barry's 30 years in sales and get moving to greatness, how to get your business unstuck.
Yep.
This is one way to start. Be grateful, not overly positive for no reason. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you are. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you to everybody on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.